Yes. Oh, there's your picture there. You logged in as me.
Hello.
Hello. Give people another couple minutes to get in, and then we will start our accountability. Hey, I'm starting class, so I'll call you as soon as I'm done, okay? All right, okay.
Got one hired for Sunset and one for Costco.
Can I ask a question while we're waiting?
Yeah.
I know.
How did the company handle the COVID virus last time? There was a point where they said no more open houses, but that was way into it, right?
When we were in like high or extreme, then the RMLS recommendation was to not do open houses. So we typically follow by their lead in recommendation.
Is there anything like a virtual open house?
Yep. A lot
Yes.
of people. Yep. A lot of people did virtual open houses hosted through Facebook or other platforms.
Do you think they're still out there, or do you think that at this point they're probably all just regular open houses?
I've just been seeing the regular open houses at this point.
Okay.
All right, we will get started with our accountability. So just an update on how many contacts you've made, and then if you have gone on any appointments or written any contracts, you could share that as well. Jamie, you want to get us started?
Hi, yes, I am just getting into real estate. So I'm at about 3 weeks in. So I have, so I have started doing, and I'm working with a team. I'm with the Colleen Benson team. So just getting used to Brivity, we work on that, and a process called Mojo, doing calling and door knocking and things like that. So just have started it. I've had a couple people wanting to buy, just haven't found the right things yet. So they're in the process, but yeah, so just getting started in this business.
Welcome, congratulations.
Thank you.
Marissa,
Hi. So far today, I have reached out to 10 people and I've heard back from 6. I have added the 6 to my database and I'm writing them handwritten cards right now.
excellent, great job. Jacqueline, oh, you're muted, Jacqueline.
Those things, now they're, I signed up for DocuSign, worked on zip forms again and went to Scripps class this morning and YouTube studied the contracts. And I feel this overwhelming desire to call a title company and work on that and a loan officer. So
Great.
that should happen this afternoon, I hope.
Awesome. Alicia,
So yesterday I finally got my headshots done. So this morning I was working on getting business cards and starting a Facebook business page.
excellent, great job. Asia,
Hi. Since yesterday, I've started my Facebook page. I got that up and going and I attached my landing page to do my reach out. Only I was realizing that the tab wasn't showing up on mobile phones and I haven't quite figured out, because that was like a plan I had, was to use that as a way to get people to contact me back. So there's just like a little bit of a technical glitch that I need to research on why it's not showing up on the mobile phone. Because I feel like a lot of people would get my message probably on their mobile phone, but it is working on the desktop.
good.
And what else have I done? I haven't done a whole lot. I added to my contacts today of people I know. And I also went on the RMLS and looked at like 10 homes on there.
Good. Perfect. Bart,
I made a new contact at the gym, kind of briefly today, and then like I've said before, don't have a lot of people to call yet. Although I have been kind of fishing through my old contacts from Chicago from years ago and trying to add more of those in that might be relevant, and then I'll try and contact the ones that I've, the ones that I haven't contacted for 10 years. Probably not going to contact them easily, but I might, send them an email or something like that at some point. Well, and then after the gym, my wife and I went over to Starbucks and sat there, and then we ended up having a half-hour conversation with a woman and her mother about real estate, and they each owned a home, and we talked about that for a good while, and about them getting into their homes and about their neighborhoods. And then I ended up, they had obviously had other realtors for those deals, but then we ended up, I told them that in the future, even if they want to keep updated with the values of their neighborhood and the values of their home, let me know, and I can, I said, I could even add you in where you're automatically updated with the values of your home. Gave them cards. Did not, unfortunately, didn't get their contact information before we got cut off, but kind of working on making the conversations a little more natural for me and not pushy, and just kind of being able to lead the conversation that way. So did that, and then otherwise been kind of working on my wife and I, our own deals, and then trying to organize the private money for that and make sure everything gets organized for that deal. So,
excellent, great job.
thanks.
All right, Kimberly.
Okay, can you hear me? I'm not showing a video
Uh-huh.
on here. Can you see me?
Yep.
Oh, that's weird. It's not showing up on my end. Okay, technical difficulties today. So I've been working on my announcements again this morning. And I met with a photographer this morning for houses, and I have permission to give out his name and number. And he's really great, and his turnaround time is 24 hours. That's what he's guaranteeing. And his pricing is, I thought really good. He does it by the square footage. It's like $100 up to 1,000 square feet, and then 120, I think, up to 2,000 square feet, and then 140 up to 4,000 square feet.
Nice. Yeah, you can put his
Yeah.
information in the chat.
Yeah, I'll do that, because he's done photos for a long time, but he just now quit his full-time job to do photography, so he's really good. So that was fun to talk with him. And then what else did I do? Oh, I kind of played around a little bit last night and this morning with creating my own listing presentation. And that's about it. Haven't really done a lot of contacting face-to-face with people, but then some other busy work to keep myself organized.
Great job. Tori.
Did you say Tori?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, there's lots of weird sounds in the background. I'm not sure if anyone else is hearing them. I have spoken to 4 people today, and then I'm also working on following up. I've got 3 in escrow right now, but it doesn't sound like any of them are going to close on time. So that's fun. So just working on, working with the lenders and appraisers to figure out when are we going to close so that I can get those addendums written up. Oh, and I wrote an offer today. So that's kind of what I've got going on at the moment.
Awesome. Great job. And Briley.
Hey, I am speaking to a title company for my listing, reaching out to a client that I have as a potential listing. I just scheduled some photos to be done on the house that I do have that needs to be put up, ordered signs, and yeah.
Awesome. Great job.
Thank you.
Aaron, anything you want to add?
Hi.
Hi.
No.
Okay, perfect. You'll make sure Stephanie stays good to go. Are you in your garage, Stephanie? Perfect. Well, I'm gonna introduce Stephanie so you guys can tell her I said lots of amazing things about her when she gets back. Stephanie began real estate in, oh, is someone trying to get in? Hold on. Yep. One second. Perfect. Stephanie, are you in your garage?
Yes.
Yeah, you have a really nice office at the office.
I want to be right here in the garage with my. I want
Your
to be
nice
right.
car. Yep. All right.
Yeah,
Stephanie,
I have a house I have some dry rot. There's a bunch of contractors here. They're drilling my house apart. And my dog was going to attack them, so I'm going to be here in the garage with my dog and teach the class here. So
good plan. Good plan.
That's why we're doing this. Just there you go.
All right. Well, Stephanie began real estate in September 2006 at 18 years old. She's one of those rare breeds that just knew right away that she wanted to be in real estate. She's been on the ALC for 8 years. In 2016, she earned her principal broker's license. In 2019, she sold over 50 homes. And then in 2018, she received the Eugene 20 Under 50 Rising Business Star Award. I think it was in 2018 you sold over 92 homes by yourself then? Yeah. So she is quite the powerhouse, which is why she's an amazing person to sit here today and teach you how to price homes to sell. She's real good at that. So she will be going through just tad bits of information. I know we talked about it a little bit yesterday for those of you that were on the call. She'll be referencing RLID typically to pull her information from for her market analysis. And you guys all can sign up for Arlid for $10 a month through the office. Most agents, as they're getting up and going, don't need it on a very regular basis. So you can also just reach out to me and I can send you the report that she's going to show you an example of. Or you can also reach out to like title companies or something like that, which is what you would do if you don't have Arlid, like Tori, or April or Jamie, that are in other areas. And then just so you know, Stephanie, I've added their market center to the back of their name so you can see if they ask a question relevantly
Sweet.
where they are from. So that will help.
Okay. Love
All
it.
right, all yours. Take it away.
Cool. Well, thank you, Mara, for that great introduction. And I'm excited to be here to teach you guys today. It's always super helpful whenever I go through kind of where you guys are at with your assignments and stuff, because it helps me to get an idea of where you're at, like if you've taken a listing or helped a buyer, that kind of thing, because I hate, teaching you too much or too little, depending on kind of where you're at in your journey. So sounds like most of you are kind of out there getting your experience, and that is awesome. And yeah, please feel free to, interrupt or ask questions anytime. So price to sell. So that's what I'm going to go over. So basically, when I do this, I like to kind of proceed as though, like, let's pretend I got a call today and somebody said, I want to sell my house. How do we navigate that? What do I do? What are my steps? Somebody else coming in. Okay. So, Mara alluded to Arlid that I use. And so that is the Regional Land Information Database is what that stands for. And so that's kind of like Lane County's county records that we have access to. And as Mara mentioned, $10 a month, I guess, I find it incredibly helpful. So I would highly, highly recommend getting signed up with that if you haven't already. And yes, you can get a lot of that information directly from the title company. However, it's nice if it's a weekend or an evening, or you just need access to the information right now to be able to pull that up really quickly, and even on your phone. So anyway, highly recommend that. So basically, if I were to get a phone call from somebody and they wanted to list their home today, ideally, I'd be able to, sorry, got a lot of people trying to join the class here. I usually, hopefully I'm able to access, Arlid while, we're on the phone, so I can kind of go through with you sort of my line of questioning and how we kind of get there. So I am going to attempt to share my screen here so I can kind of walk you through this. So just a moment, bear with me. Okay, can you see my screen? Maybe. Shoot me like a thumbs up if we can see it. Yeah, you can see it?
Yes.
Yes, cool. Okay, so here is Arlid. So again, highly recommend it. And I will also just add, if you are in a different area that's not Lane County, I am certain that your county probably has some sort of an equivalent. So maybe check with your team leader or somebody in your office, because I'm sure, and again, it's probably well worth getting signed up on. So the particular house that we're gonna go over is, I'm just gonna kind of pick one that maybe I've already listed so we can kind of go through how I might, price it to sell. So I have chosen one at 109 Robin Court. So we're going to pretend that they have just called me and that we're going to go through this. So first thing I'm going to do, they call and say, hey, Stephanie, we're thinking about selling our house. Great. Let me pull it up. So in Arlid, you can kind of go run the search here. So 109, let's see. Okay, so I see right here, it's owned by Dan and Marcy Lecomte. So I'm going to go ahead and click the tab that'll kind of get me all the information here. And okay, hold on. Share. Okay, trying to share what I'm trying to share here. Okay, gotcha. All right, so here's kind of what you get with Arlet. So real quick, you kind of get the full gamut of the house, you know, who owns it, that kind of thing. So I'm going to kind of go through what I might ask them on the phone. So in this case, it's Dan that's called, and so he's called and he said, "Hey, Stephanie, you know, you sold us this great house a couple years ago, and you know, Marcy and I were thinking about moving to the country. We want to go ahead and sell it." So I say, "Okay, Dan, that's awesome." So while I have Dan on the phone, I'll kind of run through and I'll say, "Dan, so it looks like I've got county record in front of me here. Looks like your house is about 1242 square feet, 3-bedroom, 2-bath. Does that sound right to you?" And while I'm wanting to confirm this information, that's part of why I'm asking it. The other main reason I'm asking it is because I'm trying to determine what type of a personality is Dan. And probably you guys have gone through some of the DISC training where you've gone through like the D, the I, the S, the C, where we sort of learn to identify who we're dealing with. And I care about this because what I'm going to do after we get off the phone is I'm going to close with an appointment. And for the appointment, I want to be prepared for that by knowing how to communicate with Dan. So depending on what personality style he is, he's going to communicate differently. And I better know that before I show up so that I can make sure that my reports and my presentation and just how I present myself are tailored towards Dan and winning with Dan. So when I ask him these questions, yes, I care about the information, but I'm also checking to see how he answers them. So if he's a high D, he really does not care. His goal is to get off the phone with me as quickly as possible. So when I say, "Hey, 1242 square feet, 3-bedroom, 2-bath," he's going to be like, yep, sounds good. He's rushing me off the phone. If he is an I, he's probably going to giggle. He's not going to have any idea. He's going to say, yeah, all right, sure. An S is going to be very timid and quiet because they are scared to death to make this phone call. They are scared to death to sell their house. Their biggest fear is change. Everything is scary. So he's going to be timid. He's going to get quiet. He's going to not really be sure. Yeah, I think that sounds right to me. Okay. And then a C is going to argue with me. A C is going to correct me. I'm going to say it's 1242 square feet, and he's going to tell me it's actually 1244 square feet. And furthermore, when I continue questioning him about, you know, things about his updates he's done, he's going to tell me that he did a new composition ARC 80 roof, and he's going to tell me exactly what paint color he chose, and he's going to get incredibly specific to me. So, and again, I care about this because my goal is to get the listing. And in order to get the listing, I have to make sure that I'm going to communicate with him in the way that he wants to be communicated with. So if I show up to talk to a C and I'm acting like an I did not get that listing, right? So that's why I care. So while we're going through this, that's kind of what I'm looking for. So I'll confirm with him 3-bedroom, 2-bath. Does that all sound right? Yep. The other thing I look at is this house. Was built in 02. So typically, most of the time, county records, if it's newer construction, and by newer, I would say like mid 70s, most of the information you're going to find will be accurate. Where you are going to really want to ask more questions in this conversation is if it's a really old property, or perhaps like in the Eugene area, if it was something in, let's say, Santa Clara that then became annexed into the county or into the city, because the county and the city were separate back then and they kept different records. And so unless it got sent over correctly, you potentially are not going to have the correct information, if that makes sense. So, so you want to just kind of be aware of that. If it's something new, this is a Hayden home in a newer neighborhood. It's probably not going to be a whole lot of excitement with this one, so we're probably good, but those are some of the things I would look for. The next thing I do is I'll scroll down and I want to check and see on permits, so to see if they've done any additions or any permits or anything like that. So I'm always going to kind of check there and see if anything comes up. I'll ask them, "Hey, have you done any work to the house?" And depending on what they say, I might hope to see a permit, like if they say we did some major electrical or we added a heat pump or something. If I don't see that permit, then that's what's going to cause me to maybe ask some questions about why I don't see a permit and if they did that legally and so on and so forth. The other thing that I look at is I look to see who the owners are. So down here, you'll see owners, Dan and Marcy Lecomte. And then up here, it matches. Now, why that's important is there are some cases where the people you see up top, there's going to be an extra name here, or maybe vice versa. Usually you'll find the extra name here under the taxpayer name. And why that happens and why we care is a lot of times, like let's say a parent like co-signed for a child on the purchase of a home. So the kid is probably the only one up here, but mom or dad are going to also show up down here, in which case they have to sign your listing documents, they have to agree to sell the house, and they will have to be present at closing. So sometimes people don't remember that they had somebody else on title. The other two instances that can get really awkward are in a divorce situation. So a lot of times when people get divorced, which happens all the time, one of them will be awarded the house in the divorce decree. While that's all well and good, they are still technically on the loan and on title unless they went down to the county and recorded a new deed. And a lot of times people don't understand that they have to do that. So what has happened and what you may run into is a situation where you've got the wife on the phone here, she's trying to sell the house, doesn't know and doesn't frankly understand why her ex-husband from 10 years ago is still on here. And it's because after they got divorced, they failed to go down and record a new deed, taking him off title. Or perhaps if she didn't refi it, even if the divorce decree awarded her the house, if she never went down and did a refinance, he's still on that loan and he's actually still liable for it. So in either situation, that ex-spouse is going to have to cooperate. So these are conversations you want to have like now and not, when we get to an accepted offer and the title company brings it up, because sometimes you'll find we can't find that person, or that could be challenging. So so I always kind of ask, okay, so I see this person and this person, those are still the owners, or if I see a random name here, I say, okay, and it looks like you've got, Susie so-and-so on title. Who is that? And kind of ask some probing questions to find out what to do there. The other thing that I bring up, because this has happened before too, is sometimes you have a spouse, both spouses, and one is deceased. And again, unless they went down to the county to record a new deed, the deceased spouse is still going to show up as an owner, and they're still going to be there like on title. So again, now would be the time to talk to them about what we would need to do in that case. And in that case, the title company, it's fine. Usually they have what's called the right of survivorship on the original deed. And so it would go, the property goes entirely usually to the surviving spouse. So that's fine. They can sell it. However, when we go to closing, they have to have a copy of the original death certificate to present to the title company. And I've had this happen before where they don't have the original. And there was one in particular, this got really sticky, where the parent had died like, I don't know, 5-6 years ago. And for whatever reason, they kept the house, and I think a family member lived in it. I don't know. Anyway, we go to sell the house, and they had, I think there was like 4 brothers and sisters. Well, nobody had any idea where the original death certificate was, or who actually had it, or where it went, because it had been 5 years since she passed. And so it had been misplaced. And so that was an issue. And then the other issue that came up is we had to have the original to close. And the only way you can get a new original is through DHS. And they're typically like 6 weeks out. And I will tell you, they really didn't care that we were trying to close a real estate deal, and they sure didn't hurry up for us. So again, have that conversation now, not when you're like a week from closing. And just think about the condition your sellers in. If they're moving, they're stressed out, everything's in a box, they don't know where anything is. So you ask them for that paperwork at that time, they're going to be really irritated, and it may be difficult to obtain. So I do this now and just kind of get all the heavy lifting out of the way up front. And that way, as we move forward, we'll be able to hopefully do this as easy as possible. So anyway, I ask about that. I also usually go down here and I just kind of check and see, okay, what did they buy this for? How many owners have there been? So here, they bought it in 2015 for $198. So right up front, I know we're probably going to be in a great position, because I know what things are selling for right now, and I know they've probably got a ton of equity. The other thing, like if you see a situation here where I don't know, let's say you have kind of a number in your head of what you think it's worth, and you see they bought it for way more, it may warrant a question to ask them like what they owe on the property, because that could maybe just open up your conversation, your dialogue to what are the options they may be, just to make sure they don't owe more on the property than maybe it's worth. The last thing I check for is I always check to see if it's in a flood zone, because that is not only going to impact the value of the home, but it's also going to impact the marketability, and it's something that you kind of need to know. So in ARLID, you can check that really easily under environmental data. It shows the FEMA flood hazard zone. And so here we know that it's in zone X, so areas determined to be outside of the 500-year flood. That's what we want. We don't want things in flood zones. If you see a different code here, like A or AE, there's a bunch of them, and it'll always tell you the description of that code here too. Then you'll want to ask your seller what they pay in flood insurance. Now, if that question is met with, well, I don't pay flood insurance, then your follow-up question is always going to be, well, do you have a mortgage on the property? And the reason for that is about 10-ish years ago, FEMA redrew all their maps. So there are some people that unless they've done a refinance in that last 10 years, they may be in a flood zone and the new buyer may have to pay flood insurance, but they maybe have zero clue that that's a thing because it wasn't in a flood zone when they purchased and when they obtained that loan. The other thing where this comes up is if, let's say they've owned this house for 40 years, the house has long since been paid off, no one is going to then require them to carry flood insurance, and so they may not. But the new buyer that obtains a mortgage may be required to. And I will tell you, I've seen flood insurance be, $5,000 a year. I mean, it can get extremely expensive. Which, the buyer that qualifies for X, once you add this $5,000 a year that they're going to now be required to pay, they may not qualify. So that's also stuff that you kind of want to get figured out like upfront. With that, if you run into that situation, it is a simple call to your, you just call your insurance agent, whoever you use, and just ask them about that. Ask them, they can usually pull it up really quick and just quickly tell you, what that person might be required to pay, how much, that kind of thing. So always probably check into that as well. Okay, so reading your comments here, is there an ARLID equivalent to RMLS? I'm sure there is. Yes, probably in any of your counties, you're going to have some sort of an equivalent here. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So same question. Yeah. Yeah. I'm sure if you ask your team leader, there's probably some equivalent for every county. This is what we use for Lane County, and I definitely highly recommend doing this. So, okay. So I'm on the phone with Dan. I've confirmed the square footage. I've confirmed that he hasn't really done any improvements to the property. I've confirmed, most of these details here. So I'm feeling pretty confident about what I'm going to be walking into. So I'll close with an appointment with Dan and say, okay, Dan, I'd like to set up an appointment for tomorrow at 2 or whatever the case may be. And then what I will start doing is working on my market analysis report. So for that, I'm going to share a different screen now. Hold on.
Hey, Stephanie.
Yeah.
Quick question while you're changing screens there.
Yeah,
so I think the reason we're asking about RMLS and RLID is to know if we're having to go, if for those of us up in the Portland greater area, do we need to find a different tool? Like, is this your tool of record where you do your listings as well? RLID?
Yeah, so for Lane, this is for Lane County.
Right, I understand that. But I mean, we're trying to figure out, so RMLS is the tool we use to do our official listings.
Yep.
Perhaps this information is buried in there, but that's what we're trying to figure out is like, do we need to go try to find a different tool or not?
Yeah, so, and the screen we're moving to next will be RMLS, so we're going to work in there next. So yeah, so we use RMLS for our listings and everything down here too. Our county records tool is just going to help me to get a little bit more information and dig a little bit deeper. And it's really kind of similar to like what you'd get from a title company if you asked for like a list kit or a trio, whatever they happen to call them.
Okay, trio. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, and I just, so again, I mean, it costs a little bit to have that down here, and I'm sure there's probably a fee in your area too. I just would be an advocate for paying it because, like, you don't want to have to always depend on the title company, evenings, weekends, whatever, So that's why I do it. But
okay, cool. Thank you.
Yeah, you bet. Okay. Okay. Can you see the MLS screen? No. Yes. Okay. Hopefully. Okay. So the next thing I typically do is I'm off the phone at the end now. I've determined Dan is a high C. By the way, he answered his questions. So I will go in and I'll show you this way. So like tax main. So here we're going to get like a lot of the same information. So I'm going to pull up 109 Robin Court. Okay, so what I'm looking for here is I'm gonna pull the old listing, not the current listing, the old listing. Oopsie, went too old. From when they bought it. So I want to do this because I just want to kind of get an idea of like, okay, well, what did this thing look like before they bought it? And for two reasons. Number one, when I walk in, I want to be able to like congratulate them on some of the improvements they've made, and make them feel as though I've done my homework. And if they have made like a huge change to something and it looks great, I want to be able to tell them that. So it looks like we've got a cute little house. Yep, here it is. Okay, nothing too crazy exciting, but it's nice, So this is what it looked like when they bought it. All right. So for my analysis, because when I was on the phone with Dan and I asked him about improvements, he said they hadn't really done much. They've done a little bit of painting, that kind of thing, but not a whole lot. I'll probably just kind of go off what I see here. So kind of your standard issue Hayden Home. So then what I'll do is I'm going to go into advanced MLS, and I'm going to try to pull the criteria for this property. So I'm going to go with, this happens to be South Lane County Properties. And then for my statuses, so I always like to use the coming soon, the active, and the bumpable, not because I would ever utilize those in a market analysis report, but because it's going to tell me what is on the market and what's coming on the market. And I care because that's my competition. So I will always look at that. I will never include it in the report. For pendings, I typically am going to go back probably 3 months. For sold 3 months, and then sold not listed, I do those too. With those, I guess I would just add, our market is moving really, really, really quick. Whether you're down in Eugene or up in Portland or wherever you may be, I think overall, we are experiencing an extreme seller's market everywhere, and homes are selling, on average in some neighborhoods, like in a day or two, right? So pulling something that happened 90 days, that tells me what happened 90 days ago, which really probably tells me what happened, 110 days ago when that offer was accepted. So, I probably am going to pay attention to the closing date of a lot of these comparables and put a little bit of weight on the ones that are happening more recent versus the ones 90 days ago, because that arguably was maybe a different market at that time. So I wouldn't, you can take it down to a week, a month, a day. I'd probably still just keep it with 3 months, and then manually weed it down. But I do say that just so to kind of maybe put more weight on the ones that were more recent. And I'm sure that you will find that they probably are going to close 10,000 or more over what sold 90 days ago. And then, with that, that's also why I look at the actives, because the solds tell me a story of what happened 3 months ago. Actives tell me what's going on right now. And in order to be competitive, that's kind of how I'm going to cross-reference everything is by checking with those actives. So I will update that. This particular house is 1242 square feet. So probably go 1,000 to like 1,450 or so. And then it was built in 2002. So I want to get just only newer construction. So I probably like 1990 to like, I don't know, 2015. So then I usually hit count just to see what that search is going to reveal. So 17, that's reasonable. And then I'll tell you, in particular, that particular area, South Lane County, there's kind of like 2 cities that are going to be there. So it'll be Cresswell and Cottage Grove. And for this, I really just want Cresswell. And, you know, in some of your areas too, that might also be the case where they're very distinct areas. So that's going to give me 14. So I like that number. That's a good number to like start weeding through. So I'm happy with that. The only other thing I'll just add as we're going through this is just kind of remember that what our MLS system knows is what we tell it, right? So there could be a scenario where an agent has miscategorized a property and they've put it in the wrong area. And it might be a really great comp, but because the computer was told the wrong area, it's not going to show up for you. And what's embarrassing is when you didn't pull that comp and then you show up at the appointment and you know, your seller can tell you about a house down the street that sold, but you didn't know about it because, you know, you didn't find it. So I would just kind of know that. So like some of the areas, like speaking of for Eugene, you know, you've got Hayden Bridge in Springfield. So a lot of times people think, well, it's in Hayden Bridge, it's got a Springfield address, I'll put it in Springfield. Well, it's in Hayden Bridge, and that area is far more expensive than Springfield. So, you know, you would kind of just want to probably cast a wide net and then personally like whittle it down just to make sure you're not like missing anything that could be kind of a big deal for your seller and for your report. So, okay, so now next I'm going to hit search. So, okay, so first of all, I see there is nothing active or coming soon, which makes sense. That is our market right now. I see that I have 6 pending here, and then I see that I have 8 that are sold. I am knowing that I can use most of them, so I'm going to hit all records. I'm going to delete our subject property, and then this is in a park, so that's not comparable. So these are the comps that I think I'm going to be able to go ahead and use. So okay, so first of all, we've got one here, and this actually happens to be my listing, so I know exactly what it's going to sell for. So I usually am going to kind of flip through the pictures and see, you know, okay, what does the house look like? You know, is it comparable? And I'd say, yeah, it's probably comparable. Now this one, I have a little bit of insider info because it was my listing too. And I will tell you, this one is not near as nice as Robin Court, and it's kind of in a different area. So I would probably discount it a little bit, but we'll leave it in. This one, different neighborhood, but I would say it kind of looks, you know, similar to our pending. It's a little bit bigger. So given that I do have so many to choose from, I might not select this one. I'll go through everything first just to make sure. But, you know, this one, it might be bigger than, you know, the subject property. This one on Pine. This one's a little bit older. I might still use it, but it is kind of in a different area. I kind of am looking at it. I don't think I like it very much because it's got Formica countertops. It's not as updated as the one that we're trying to evaluate. It's got even gold trim. So I'm going to say I'm going to take this one out. I don't like it. First, this is a different builder. So I kind of just right off the bat, I don't know that I like it very much, but it's similar in square footage. So I think I might just go ahead and keep it. Doesn't have as updated appliances. It's got Formica. I don't know that I like it. I don't like it. I'm gonna take it out. Okay. Crestwood. Okay. So this one, I mean, looks like, you know, it's got, you know, similar features. So I mean, I'd say we could maybe keep it. And it is right around the corner from the one we're evaluating. Blue Jay. This one's a little bit smaller. And And I do notice, and it's a 2-bedroom, 2-bath. So I'm going to take that out because we're evaluating a 3-bedroom. So remove that one. This one, again, this probably comes with experience, but I just happen to know this is not in the same neighborhood. So I probably am going to take it out just because I have so many other ones in the right neighborhood. Another one on Blue Jay. This one looks comparable. It is smaller though. I might keep it for now. But again, you know, it looks like it's been updated. It's got a nice patio, nice backyard, all the right things. And then Honor. So this one, again, looks pretty updated. The one we're dealing with has the white cabinet, so does this. So it's got, you know, newer appliances. I like all that about it. This one I do notice has a ductless system, and ours, of course, has an actual forced air system. So it would be worth a little bit more for that. So, okay, I'll keep that one. This one on Bush. It's a little bit smaller, but again, it looks really updated. That's kind of what we're comparing to, so I'll probably keep it. Looks nice, clean, tidy, updated. Different neighborhood, but I like it, so we'll keep that too. This one on Morse, I believe it's 1282 square feet, so just real similar in square footage. 3-bed, 2-bath. Again, it's not as updated, but I like that the square footage is about the same. So I think it'd be a good comparable here. Pictures are terrible, but okay. This one, okay, so I like it. I don't like it because it's 2-story. I'll probably keep it because it's literally, you could throw a rock and hit it from the house. But typically, as a general rule, you want to compare 1-stories to 1-stories and 2-stories to 2-stories, unless there's a compelling reason to use something to the contrary. But I'll use it anyway because the rest of it's similar, and it's literally right there. I don't like that it does have an extra half bath though too. So, okay, let's see here. So next thing I'm going to do, I've selected my comparables. So now I'll go through and I'm going to do a CMA report. So I'm going to go here, hit CMA report. And I think with these people, I probably already have one, but oh, maybe I don't. Okay, cool. Okay, great. So create new profile. So I also just kind of check here before I put them in there to make sure, like, okay, are these all similar? Okay, our subject was built in 2002. So yep, these are all kind of right in there. These are all 3 bedrooms. These are all 2 bathrooms, except for this one that I didn't really like. And then the other thing I like to check, like I don't want to have too many comps. Like ideally you maybe would have like 6. The lowest you'd want might be like 3. You don't want to have like 20. That's too much. So like if I was going through this and I was like, okay, you know, we have too many here, then probably I'd start weeding them out by maybe price. Like I might take out the lowest and the highest. Because you can see there's a big difference between the 367 and 390 and then what's like listed here. I guess in this case, I happen to know Ash Grove probably isn't that comparable, just because of it's not maybe as nice. And I just know that because that's my listing. So that way I'm not too pending heavy. I've just got 2 pendings and then the rest are sold. So that's probably like a good ratio. Again, like for you and I, for us in real estate, like we care about pendings and we care about actives because it tells us where to price stuff. But like from an appraiser's perspective, they can only utilize solds because solds tell you exactly what it actually sold for versus the pending. That's all great that they offered to pay whatever, but until it actually closes, until that buyer actually buys it, it really kind of doesn't mean a whole lot. So, okay, so I'm good with this. So I'm going to hit next. And so then Dan and Mercy LeCompte. Okay, save and next. So next thing I'll do, I'm going to input all the information on our subject property. So 9. Happen to know it's 2:35, but we'll go through that here. Oh, sorry, not Eugene. Excuse me. It is in Cresswell. And then this will map it for you. And you always want to use this because at the end of the report, it's going to put together like a map of where your comparables are. So you want to make sure that you have where your subject property is too, so that it kind of all is cohesive and looks good like that. Just working. It's just not working. Weird. Okay, I don't know. Okay. So, and then I happen to have a picture of this because it's my listing. But if you don't, I would recommend that you try to get a picture. So, that in there. Okay, upload. Okay. So, there we go. Now, with the picture though, I will just tell you, make sure you know, like, go drive by and go take a stealth picture if you want, but just like make sure you know the situation. Because sometimes you have like a situation where it's a rental and the landowner wants to sell it, but they haven't told their tenant yet. So if you show up with a camera and take a picture, that might cause issues for your client who hasn't told them yet. Or, you know, I've also had situations where they're trying to sell the house and because they're getting divorced, but maybe the other spouse doesn't know they're getting divorced yet. So just make sure like you kind of understand and you don't show up with a camera and or jump out and take a picture with your phone and cause any issues. So anyway, so then 1242, 2 bathroom, 3 bedroom. No fireplace, it's attached. 4 stair. And lot size. Okay, so I just kind of input all this, and this is going to be important because it's going to put your whole report together. Not a short sale. And always maybe just have it like as filled out as you can. Let's see here. Okay. So, let's see, as we get here, so then what we have is it'll kind of graph it for us and show us all the comparables that we have. It looks like our average for the pendings is 367 and so is the median. And then our average and pending for solds is the 362. So again, pendings are always probably going to be higher in this market because people just things are going up and people just kind of keep pricing ahead of the market. The other thing I notice here is like our average price per square foot, 311, and then our average days on market. So like it's like a week. Probably in most of our markets, what people are doing is they are like setting an offer deadline. So, and most of the time they're probably between like 4 and 6 days. So that's honestly probably why that's where our average and median days on market will land. So in a country property case, or a case where you're going to get like a much higher days on market, this might change a little bit. So I might counsel your seller to that. If you see something really low like this, then I might just let them know, hey, probably what happened is, you know, they listed it on like a Thursday and they told everybody all offers were going to be due on Tuesday. And that's why they're all this date range. If it's a situation where, like, let's say they have to sell the house to buy a house really quick and they have to get it under contract, I might tell them, like, yeah, you're seeing 4 to 6 days on these. That's probably because there was a deadline. If we have to get an offer on your house today, we can probably do it in 24 hours. So maybe just kind of like have that conversation, like just know why that's that way. So then it'll allow you to kind of plug these numbers in and sort of graph it. So usually I play around with it a little. So if my average is 311, I punch that in and I see I'm getting to 386. That's a little bit higher. That's probably higher because the average square footage is higher than the one we're evaluating. So I may like go back to my comparables and see, okay, is there any that are like really big I should take out? Like what's skewing this? They're all pretty close, actually. This is our only bigger one. Well, that's only on the pending, so that's weird. So I'll probably just try to price somewhere in there. Again, if I had actives to look at, then I would be like, okay, so there's this one active and it's at this price, so we could price right next to it or right under it or just right in there. In this case, there's not, so it's almost like we're setting our own market here. So I guess I probably would, you know, recommend they price somewhere in that 360 to 370 price range, because it looks like the market's going to bear that. 390 seems like it'd be too high to start at. Somewhere 360 to 370 is probably about right. And I even think this 386 would be too high, because I think it'd be too high to price it at. So I sometimes I'll put a recommended price, sometimes I won't. I think it just depends on the client. With a high C, he probably wants to be told what to do. So I'll probably put my recommendation in here. So I'll probably say like my max is like maybe 375 or so of what I would go. I might go like 379. And then for the minimum, I mean, I think you could at least get to 369.9. And then recommended, I don't know, probably like, let's just call it 375. Sometimes I'll just pick kind of not random, but just whatever numbers. And then we choose the number together when we list. The other thing I tell them, and this is a great conversation for your buyers too, is I pay attention to this sentence right here. So it tells me that sold properties closed an averaging 108.84% of their final list price. This reflects basically 8.84% difference between list and sale price. So this is fantastic information. Number one, you can absolutely 100% justify why you are charging what you are charging, because you are able to show them that on average you are going to make more, and basically my fee is completely paid by the buyer, who's going to pay you more than you're asking. So great way to deflect that commission conversation. The other thing with that too is, like, if you ever have buyers that, let's say they're having a really difficult time understanding the market, and like that they have to offer over. I think most of them get it now, but there may be the select few that don't get that yet. If you just basically like take, okay, you want to buy this house in this neighborhood, do like a mock CMA. There's not just a pretend house, right? And just say, okay, the type of house that you're looking to buy, on average, they're selling for 8.84% over. So then let's just kind of do the math on that. So let's just pretend we listed it for 375 times 0.0884. So so they're probably going to make an average of, like, you know, a good like $33,150 over is going to be about like average. So that's a great way for you to help your buyers to understand, like, on average, like what they're going to have to pay over. So for this particular house at 375, it's probably going to sell for about $33,000 over asking. And I will also tell you that it is my listing, it is pending, and it's pending at 405. So that's probably about accurate. So anyway, great way to frame that conversation. The last thing I'll talk about is adjustments. So we have the ability to go through here and like make adjustments on our comparables based upon a variety of different factors. I usually don't. Some agents do, and that's totally cool. I don't, because especially if you're dealing with a high C, like if I say your half bathroom is worth $5,000 more, I would like to have information to be able to justify why I'm saying that. And frankly, I'm probably saying that because I have experience, but I really don't have like, you know, a textbook to pull that from. Appraisers do. They have a subscription to this giant book that comes out, I believe, quarterly. It's several $1,000s to buy. They use that, and that's basically what gives them all of the amounts that every like things are worth, like what's an air conditioner worth, what's an extra bedroom worth, what's a closet worth, like those types of things. So they could justify why scientifically they're going to assign a greater value for certain things. I can't really defend that with real numerical basis, so I just kind of don't. The only reason where I might like change that would be like, and this came up last class, is like, let's say you have a house that's super comparable to everything else, but it's on a freeway or it's on a really busy road. Cool, I might take off just 10 grand. You know, that might be just a quick, easy, like, all right, let's take off this much, because that should justify the fact that we have this issue. So, okay, so I like what I have here. I also checked my graph. It looks like it's kind of in line with what we're doing here. I'm happy. Here's my cover page. So I always am going to put like, you know, their name on it, Dan and Marcy. And features, like if you've seen the house, put some features. If you haven't, just make some generic ones up because it makes your report look a little bit better. So like this, I know it's got an open floor plan and they could be super just base, but it makes them feel like you did your report. Floor plan, great neighborhood, located in a quiet cul-de-sac, and I don't know, updated kitchen, because I know it hasn't. Okay, if I could spell. Alrighty. So then the report. So I usually, you can have a signature page, you can add a resume, you can add all sorts of information. So I generate, and then we pop out this cool report here. So it tells them my recommended price, has a nice picture, and then
Hey, Stephanie.
Yeah.
We are, or at least me, I'm not seeing your screen anymore.
Oh, are you seeing me?
I am.
Hi.
Which is great, but we can't see that report.
That is so weird.
The report.
Okay.
I see the report.
Hold on.
You can?
Hold
I
on.
see the report.
Yeah, I still see it.
Okay, hold on. Let me see. Okay. Okay, is it there? Do we see the report?
I see it, yes.
Okay.
Sorry, guys, maybe it was just me.
Weird. Okay. So here we go. So here's our report. So as you can see, it kind of, puts them all kind of in sequence here of what I've used. And then we've got the map. So the last thing I'll do, like number 5, I might take this one out. All these I like because they're kind of right on this neighborhood. You guys all know your areas. So if there's like I don't know, like some places there's like a line, right? And it's like, this is a totally different neighborhood on the other side of the tracks, right? Or the freeway or the whatever. So maybe just like pay attention to that and like take stuff out if it's like, in an area that like definitely is not comparable. So maybe just be aware of that. And then, so the other thing I like to look at, and I point out to my sellers as we're going over this, is like, how many days on market? So again, we talked about why that would be, but you got 5 days, 2 days, 5 days. The other thing I look at is like what it was listed for versus what it sold for. So listed for 310, sold for 345. Here, listed for 362, sold for 367, 318, 360. How many days on market? I also pay a little bit of attention to the terms. So like USDA, conventional, FHA, FHA, because I just want to kind of prepare them for the type of offer that they may be getting. So again, here, conventional 4 days. And then we have kind of our graph that we just went over. And again, that sentence about the 8.84% difference, I go over that as well. The final thing that I do is, let's say that 375 is where I'm going to recommend they price, and we'll just take that number. So, okay, so 375 is my number. So I have an app called Fidelity Agent, and I know a lot of the different title companies will offer something similar. So I will use that here and see if I can come up with this real quick. Just a sec. Okay. Bear with me. Hold on. I have to get taxes here. So on this app, you can basically plug in exactly what sales price, and it'll generate a net sheet for your seller. So I hit seller, 375, brokerage fee, and then put in the exact amount of taxes. So 2773.31. If you know their loan balance, you can put it in here. If not, don't worry about it. And then usually I just try to project out a closing date. So assuming we're going to list right away, I probably would give about, like, I don't know, 30 to 40 days out maybe. So this is August 27th, works for me. So then it does a net sheet, and you can do it on your phone. I'm trying to show you. So it'll tell me exactly what they have to pay in title fees, basically all the other, realtor fees. It breaks exactly down to tell them exactly what their net's going to be at that price. I will show you how it also presents. Let's email it to them. Hold on. Bear with me here. But I find it super helpful because a lot of times all they think about is the commission. They don't realize that they have to pay the fees to the title company. They don't realize that they have to buy a title insurance policy for benefit of the buyer. And while those are, only a couple $1,000s, sometimes you don't, those are not the surprises that you don't want to surprise them with those types of things. So let me show you what this looks like when you send it to them here. Hold on. So
I'm sorry, Stephanie, what was the service you were using to come up with that?
I use Fidelity Agent.
Fidelity Agent, okay.
And I will just add, like, many of the title companies probably have something similar. But Fidelity Agent, if you call your Fidelity rep, they will get you this, and it is free. It's really cool. I will use it. And you can actually use it to, not that I recommend you qualify buyers, but if you're ever somebody's like, how much would the payment be? You can put in all the numbers, and it bases it on the exact interest rate for today. So it usually is pretty accurate. Obviously tell them to go talk to a lender, but if they want information like on the fly right here, right now, then you can get it to them that way too. So this is cool because it says, okay, so if you were to sell for $375, your total closing costs are $24,564.50. This is based with the exact amount of taxes prorated to the exact closing date. So this is usually pretty scary accurate. But as you can see, they've got $1,100 for a title policy, an escrow fee, processing. They've got all these other fees here. So you just don't want to surprise them with that, and you just want them to know, okay, so if you sold for $375, your net is $349.41. And obviously we would anticipate that they're probably going to receive more for the property, but it's just good for them to know that. And if they're also in a situation where they're like, I'm selling this so I can buy this other house, and I have to have $75,000 exactly in my pocket to do that, then sometimes it'll help you to kind of determine what their break-even number is going to be, so that you're able to price the house accordingly. if that helps. So so that's usually what I do. I do the analysis, I print that out, I bring the RLID information. As far like I usually always come prepared. Now, if I walk into that house and it's trashed and it's certainly not what I thought it was, then I do not bring out my report at all. I excuse myself, I say thanks for having me, and I probably am wear a new report and bring it out. If it's way nicer, again, it probably same thing. I probably wouldn't even talk about it because I think the information I would be presenting would be irrelevant based upon, the house. But if it's basically kind of what I thought it was, then yeah, I'm usually going to bring it out right then and there. Let's do this. So, questions?
How did you get to know? I'm pretty ignorant when it comes to like updates, like in houses and like styles. I don't know anything about any of that stuff. Like you're like, oh, this is a ductless system. I was like, I don't even really know what a ductless system even means. So I'm like, how do you know all of that stuff? And also like the construction, and I mean, it probably takes time, but like right off the bat or whatever, what would be a good tool or way to learn that?
So one of my assistants, Danny, if you go talk to her, when she first started, she was 19 and she had no idea. So I told her to go to Jerry's and you hang out at Jerry's until you know what all those things are. I guess
Okay.
she knows what those are now.
Okay.
Go do that. If not, I mean, just when you're out touring houses, like I'll go with you. I'll teach you these things. It's very easy. But like she didn't know what Hardy Plank siding was. She didn't know what T111 was. She didn't know the difference between sidings. So I sent her down to Jerry's and I said, go there.
I'm older than 19 by a lot and I don't know this stuff.
Don't you come back until you know this. And she's really great. She knows she's on it now. So
awesome.
Yeah. Great question though. What else?
I feel like I'm gonna have to practice using that RMLS to do those comps or watch this video again.
Yeah, and you're in my market center, so let me know. I can help you.
Okay.
Happy to help.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. What else?
So you may have answered this already, but what if your area doesn't have, but maybe one other house that has similar sizes and floor plans and everything?
Excellent question. Okay, so your two options, if that's the case, would be, and this has happened to me. I've had listings in really rural areas or whatever where there's just like nothing comparable. So you can do two things. You can go out in distance or you can go back in time. Right now, with the market that's moving so rapidly, I would hesitate to go back in time. I'd probably go for distance, right? So then I'm going to widen my parameters. Now, if still nothing's coming up, or maybe this is like a unique area and like only things right here are comparable. You could do two things. You could call your title company and say, hey, are there any sales in the past, 3 months in this area that were maybe private sales that aren't going to show up on the RMLS, and see what they can provide. You could also look for people that have done refis, because conceivably they had to do an appraisal, and then contact the lender that did that, which will be on there, to see what it appraised for, because that could maybe give you a clue. If all else fails, I hate to admit it, but I will go to Zillow or Redfin. And actually, guys, regardless, I'm going to check those anyway before I get to my appointment, and I'll do that because my seller did. And so they already know what that Zestimate is, and they know what Redfin says, and they looked at all that before they called me. So I better know about it. I don't know that I'm always going to trust that. Obviously, like, I think what we do and our knowledge is going to be far superior than what they come up with. But yeah, I will.
Yeah, do you find yourself frustrated sometimes? Do you find yourself frustrated with their expectations set by Zillow or something like that? Sometimes, as far as pricing goes?
Not lately, because I think things are just selling for just so much. In other markets, I mean, I've been doing this 16 years. Like, there have been times when, yeah, absolutely, Zillow has come up with some really crazy number, and you're like, no. And so then I think it's just like education. And, you know, in this market, again, maybe this isn't the case, but in other markets, and maybe if we get back here, you know, sometimes if Zillow has some crazy dollar amount, and let's say it's probably legit, like, yeah, in that neighborhood, you could get that. Unfortunately, you know, this house is, you know, needs new carpet. They've got pets, it's disgusting, it's whatever paint color, I don't know, whatever the issue is, right? So sometimes I throw that seller in my car and I say, cool, we're gonna go look at all the houses around us that are for sale right now that a buyer's gonna go look at, and when we're done, you tell me why your house isn't worth that. And here's the other conversation, we could talk about how your house could be worth that, right? So maybe we clean it, maybe we get new carpet, maybe we paint, maybe we do whatever to get you the number that you see on Zillow. But if you can't do those things or don't want to do those things, you're probably here, right? So that's been helpful in the past.
Okay.
What else?
Hey, Stephanie, I think one of the things that I kind of struggled with on listing appointments is even when you go in with all of this information and it doesn't seem to matter if it's where they fall on the disc. There's just people that will say things like, well, this all makes sense, but I have, you know, I want to set my list price at the high end no matter what. And so they don't like for whatever reason, they don't like the idea that you need to list a little lower than the high to actually attract enough attention to push that up over the high end.
Yep.
Even.
Sure.
How do you approach that?
Great question. Okay, so what I would do is I would refer back to that last page on the CMA report where it showed our average days on market. So if they say we want to list our house at this crazy price, then I may indulge them at that price, because I'll just tell you right now, things are selling for ridiculous amounts, and like they may be right. I mean, I'll humbly tell you that, like, in this market, I don't know what I'm doing. Like it's nuts out there. So we could list it really high and they might actually get that. I will take them back to the average days on market. So in this particular scenario, let's just call it 6 days, just for fun. So I'll say, okay, let's do this. Average days on market is 6 days, which means in 6 days on average, we should have an offer on your home. Can we agree that if in 12 days, which would be double the average, we do not have an offer on your home, we will agree that we have overshot our coverage here and we are going to lower our price? And typically they will agree with you, even if it's 2 weeks, even if it's a month. Just get their buy-in and commitment that, like, if we don't have an offer, we can totally agree in this market we should, so we're too high. The other thing I'd take them back to is I'd say, okay, what number do you want? And then I might go back through those comps, because like if you saw on the little adjustment sheet, it shows you like what they listed for and what it sold for. So if you take them through that exercise, they'll see like this guy listed for 310 and he got 344 or whatever it was, right? The contrary is sometimes if they list too high, nobody's even going to look at the house because they just think it's too high. And I had kind of an interesting situation a couple months ago. I had a guy on North Kenzie. The house is like 1,300 square feet. And he said, like, we were getting ready to list it. My comps were coming in at like 430. Like, I will tell you right now, that house should have sold for like 435, like per the comps, right? He said he wanted 500,000. And I was like, Jimmy, oh my gosh, really? This is nuts. Okay, so I'm thinking based upon how much people are going over, if he wants 500,000, where do I need to price it? So I priced it at like 469, which was way higher than the comps even suggested I could price it at. But I did it because I thought, what the heck? Let's just see what happens. I priced it there, 469, and he liked the 49er, so I did 469,049 because it was funny. And anyway, we got multiple offers, and he got like 504. So I mean, sometimes just do what they say. Like right now. Now, if our market shifts, then no. I'd be a little bit more cautious. But right now, whatever.
But so would he have been happy at the somewhere around 469 if that's what it had, you know, if that's what had happened?
No, that particular guy probably just wouldn't have sold. But I do tell people like, hey, the number we pick, like, I think you're going to get multiple offers, but I'm not also going to be one to sit here and toot my own horn. Like, it's possible we just don't get any offers, or it's possible you only get this price. And if so, are you okay with that? And so I do make them make peace with that number, like just worst case scenario. And I mean, I have not had a low offer for a while on anything. So
this is kind of like off the subject. Yeah. I mean, it's about houses, because I was looking at the MLS today and I just thought it was the oddest thing. And I don't know if this is common and I just came across it, but you know, like I was looking to see if I could view houses, or, you know, looking at their open houses or whatever. And it was like a house that's been on the market for a while, and the only picture on the MLS is the outside of the house. There's nothing on the inside, and it says they'll show the house with an accepted offer.
Yeah.
I'm like, what? I don't get it. Like, why would you make an offer on a house that you don't even know what it looks like?
Investors
So
do that all the time.
I mean, it's been on the market for a month, so obviously that's probably a problem, but I'm like, why would people do that?
So a lot of times in that situation, it's because there's a tenant, and so they only want serious buyers, so they won't let you see it unless you've made an offer. But your offer is contingent upon viewing, so it's kind of no harm, no foul. But who you're going to get is only a serious investor that's interested in that because it pencils.
Okay.
If someone makes an offer at the listed price, do you have to take it?
Nope. Nope.
Or above the listed price also? You don't have to take that one. You can always say no.
Yep. Yep. Your seller, and that's a nice kind of like a little safety net for them too. I mean, if they're worried about like not getting offers or whatever, I mean, if they get it, they're not required to take the offer. I mean, it could be full price, it could be everything they want, and they could decide not to sell the house. Just because it's listed doesn't mean they have to sell it.
Do they have to have a reason, like a no reason back?
Nope.
Okay.
Is there any penalty to them?
Nope.
Like they don't owe any fee to anybody?
Nope.
Not even you?
Nope.
Wow.
Huh, that's interesting. That's not what I thought, actually.
No, I didn't either. I thought, yeah, I agree.
So if they don't accept an offer, and let's say the listing expires, then they don't owe you for marketing costs or anything?
Nope.
Huh.
So that's why we only work with people that are ready, willing, and able to sell.
Gotcha. Okay.
So in your listing contract, I mean, there is a section where you can put that they owe you money for marketing or for your time or whatever. I will caution you that other agents are not going to be doing that. And so you'll stand out if you did that, and it probably more of a negative way.
Huh. I've actually signed a contract with a realtor before to sell my place in Chicago that it did have that contingency if I canceled the contract.
So technically the only way that you can enforce that they would have to pay you is if let's say your job is to bring a ready, willing, and able buyer to the table. If you have succeeded in doing that and everything was fine with their transaction and then they decided not to sell, number one, the buyer could sue for something called specific performance, where they're required to sell it to them. I will tell you, it's very difficult to make that happen. You as the agent could argue that you basically did what you were supposed to do, which is you brought them a ready, willing, and able buyer, and then they terminated at the last minute. So you could technically enforce them paying your commission. Why that would be bad for you is because they would go tell all of their friends that you made them pay you, and that would be very bad for business. So you would just say, no problem. Looking forward to helping you in the future.
Okay.
Has it ever happened to you?
It has not happened to me. It did happen to a colleague of mine, though. And he forced them to pay him, and it didn't go well. Anything else? Yes? Okay, well, guys, I appreciate your time. Thank you for being here. Good luck. And just know I'm here if you guys have any questions or if there's anything I can do to help.
Thanks, Stephanie.
You betcha.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bet. Have a good day.
Great, very informative.
Good.
Stephanie, do we have contact information for you if we have questions about, because I haven't put CMA together before, and you know, I'm a bonehead. And once I start to do it,
Oh, I think you're smarter than you give yourself credit for, Bart.
I feel
yeah,
I feel you, Bart, though. I feel the same way. I'm like, oh man, when I'm actually gonna sit down and do it, it's probably gonna be more complicated.
right?
Yeah, absolutely. You can, well, I think you're in my market center, so you can find me there, or I can give you my email is just stephaniecoates@kw.com.
Okay. Cool. Thank you, Stephanie.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you guys.